Hey guys, welcome. So Linux Mint 21.3 Xfce. The 21.3 series for Mint has been released, so you have Cinnamon, Mate, and Xfce. So this video is on the Xfce. I did a video the other day on 21.3 for Cinnamon. So anyways, you have just installed 21.3 and you're wondering about, you went through the first steps, you went through the documentation, and you kind of miffed that the new features are mentioning almost everything for the Cinnamon desktop and nothing for Xfce. That's why I do these kind of videos. So I'm going to be talking about that, but I'm still going to share this information with you. Okay? So anyways, you're watching this on Linux for Seniors. You can click that icon to subscribe if you like. 300 videos and growing. And videos like this is more than 10 minutes, is usually good. That way you can start watching them on your time frames. You can start today, hit stop, come back tomorrow, the next day, or whenever you have time. So I'm going to just make mention that this is this version of 21.3 is called Virginia, and this is one of the wallpapers. It's an Icelandic puffin waving, saying hello. So I'll say hello also and welcome. Filming in 1920 by 1080. So subscribe if you want to watch this in multiple sittings. So let's talk about, you went through the first steps. You went through the documentation, you read the release notes, and now you're ready for new features. I'm going to do this with you and let you see what I'm talking about. And I think you'll agree that maybe worthwhile watching this video. Maybe. So you go through that. You've already went through the ISO because you've already installed it. You wondered what Hypnotics is if you've never heard of it. It's in the audio multimedia section, and I got these icons really big, and I'll show you how to do all this. Hypnotics. So it discusses that player, or IPT TV. Talks about the channels and this new button here, and it's nice and fancy, and then you keep scrolling, and then you hit a snag. This is Cinnamon. Cinnamon Spices, Cinnamon Features. You have Nemo Actions. Nemo is the file manager for Cinnamon. Thunar is the file manager for Xfce. So that part doesn't do you any good. You scroll down to here and you see Wayland, and you go, maybe they have Wayland also available for the Xfce. Sadly, no. It's Cinnamon also. And I do have a video already posted for Linux Mint 21.3 Cinnamon, what's new, and tips. And I'll explain that, how you log into the Wayland in that video. Sadly, we were moving down the stairs and we see nothing but references to Cinnamon. You do also have Warpinator on this distribution, and Warpinator is used for file sharing, and it's got some new bells and whistles. And when you do use Warpinator with a firewall, don't forget to import the rules from Warpinator into that firewall. Now, as you scroll down, you'll see artwork. Something familiar? Okay, let's take a peek at it. Looks nice. Actually, this is a screenshot from Cinnamon also. This one does say Iceland with the puffin waving. Okay, that's exactly what you see in here, the Icelandic puffin. Right-click, desktop settings. It's in here, but it doesn't look like the same screenshots. So you're kind of miffed, right? So we continue. We scroll down some more and we're at the end of the page. You really don't have much information regarding your Xfce desktop. Now, one thing is in common between all three of those desktops, that would be Xfce, Cinnamon, and Mate, is the Linux kernel 515. It's on all three of them as default. Some of you folks picked Xfce because you're running an older computer. Some of you folks also like to use Xfce on modern computers. And some of those modern toys that you have on those computers may not be working properly. And you need a more advanced kernel than you need a more advanced kernel than 515. You need a 6.2 or possibly a 6.5. And I'll show you how to do that in this video. Long-term support strategy until 2027, LTS. Now that we're at the end of the file, let's talk about what I have to say. Before I do that, though, I will make mention of help. There's lots of nice folks on these web forums and IRC chat rooms. I'm not part of that, but there's some nice folks that can answer some of your questions there. Now I'm going to give you my tips. Okay, so I'm going to start over here with something very simple called login screen information, because this is new. So you can move the alignment of your login window, the username and password thing, from the standard left to the center to the right. This is immediate when you close this. All the rest of the tools still stay in effect. All right. So if you are using an NVIDIA graphics card, you may want to investigate the driver. It normally installs the open source driver, and then you can switch to the proprietary. It doesn't cost you anything except time. And you can hit apply. And then it'll ask you to reboot. I don't recall if it installs this though. If you don't have it, it's called NVIDIA server settings if you want that. You may end up going to Software Manager to go find it. But this will show you driver number and also more information about your graphics card. This information here, if you don't know how to translate that, that's 4 gigabytes, 4096 MB. You can go online and translate that also. Anyways. Couple other things we need to talk about. The firewall comes turned off. It's GuffW or UFW, and if you use Warpinator, import those rules in there. Your appearance section, if you decide to change any of these themes, my recommendation is screenshots. You do have a screenshot tool already in your menu. I'll only talk about this once, but I'll just make reference to screenshots in the future. Entire screen makes for a big file. Makes a picture of your background, the window, and the panel. Active window only does this box and it never takes a picture of itself. And then you have select region. Normally the default is pictures, but you can save it to any folder you want. I would recommend doing the same with icons. Fonts you can change rather easily. Click and change. The dots per inch change, make screenshots if you do this. And then I'll move to desktop. Do you really need some icons on your desktop? If you do, then click those. Here's your home, here's your trash. The sizes are all done through here. This is normally the only one that's on by default. Your file manager is right here. You have my icons are a little bit bigger than normal, but trash can is here, home folder is here, and the file system is right there. So really I don't need any of these. All right, size of the icons though. All right, no, I'm not going to talk about that. Notifications, same thing, I'm going to skip over. The panel can be adjusted here or right-clicking the panel itself, and preferences. I will talk about that later because I'm using a semi-transparent panel bar. It's not normal. Color profile, skipping over. Display, this is where you can change your screen res. As you can see, I can also change mine to 4K. Your numbers will be different. And your numbers for scaling also might be different. And certainly your refresh rates are probably different than mine. And of course, even your screens. Mine is not 72, but it is 43 inches. Okay. If you hit apply when you change your screen res and refresh rates and the display goes black for more than 6 seconds, whatever you do, do not turn off your computer. Allow it to time out. That's a graceful way of saying I'm not going to mess up my settings. Mouse and touchpad. This is where the current mouse cursors are installed, or mouse pointers as some people call them. I do have tons of videos how to put in custom mouse pointers, and my success rate is usually 99%. I don't use the add buttons in here. I manually install them. That's why I have almost 100% success rates, unlike when you're trying to add themes in here. Mouse themes, mouse cursors, mouse pointers. The Power Manager is set to do nothing. If you click it to ask, it'll be simulating this. Okay, you may want to investigate that on your machine also. Where did I leave off? Oh, audio. Now, a lot of times you'll have a little setting in between here. If you have a microphone that's trying to take over your speaker, sometimes you'll need to click in here and there'll be a selection box. That sometimes happens on mine. And what I did was I did a little configuration in here where I made my nasty little blue microphone an analog input. And this has a tendency, it wants to take over my speakers a lot. It's very common actually. Accessibility options. Well, you can investigate that if you like, but anyways. Default app, I'm going to skip over. Driver manager, as I pointed out, if you want the NVIDIA driver that's found in here. AMD graphics cards normally do not need a driver. Firewall, again, is deactivated. You can activate that, and if you are using file sharing, don't forget about those rules in your Warpinator if you're going to do that. Input method, languages, fairly self-explanatory. Again, the login window feature, the new one is moving your box from your left to center to right. The session and startup menu, if you are going to make some changes and turning things on and off, just be careful what you turn on and off. I have shown some videos in the past. I just did one recently for Debian 12, how to do simple backups using script files. Keep in mind, one of the reasons I do these kind of videos is these are not servers. We're not talking cron jobs or ncron or any of that stuff because I'm not running a server here. You know, most of the videos that I'm doing is for desktops. So when I'm using script files and writing files in here to turn on and off, it's a lot easier for the home user. And you folks that run servers know exactly what I'm talking about, cron jobs. Okay, normally I'm not running a 24 environment. If you have any interest in simple ways to do simple backups for the Mint Xfce using script files and rsync, drop me a line. Other than that, I'm not going to make a video about that. But you can also use regular tar and regular rsync and grsync also for simple backups for home use. Where do I leave off? Okay, software time. Software Manager uses 3 sources. Software Manager software comes from Mint, Ubuntu, and also flathub.org. Synaptic Package Manager only has 2 sources. I'll start with this one. You can also use Terminal to install software here. So this is Mint Install, another name for Software Manager, 829. When you are typing for something, you can certainly click things too, and you can also go full screen if you like. Do it my way, or you can do it the system way, whichever. If you type in GIMP, for instance, the reason I'm doing this is GIMP is like Photoshop. I just wanted to let you see the extra toys in here. These are add-ons to your GIMP. Graphical Image Manipulation Program, or GNU. Image Manipulation Program. I knew I could say that. If you see foreign screenshots, don't worry about it. Just install it, and it normally installs language packs. This is the system package. You can see the logo there. If you don't, it looks like that one. This is 2.10.30. This is 2.10.36. So this is a newer version. Flathub.org is an actual website you can go to. And if you go to that website, click the setup, and you can see how many Linux distros actually use Flathub. It's quite interesting, actually. It's usually self-contained software is what that stuff is. All right, your choice, though. Now, if you want to see simple usage of how to take a photograph and convert it into an icon with rounded corners like this, subscribe. Go in my on my YouTube site using a regular web browser, click the magnifying glass in the center, not the one on the top, and search for GIMP in that, and all my videos have keyword searches. And you'll find one that's from either December or November on how to make these simple icons and using simple ideas with GIMP. GIMP is like Photoshop. You can convert images. You can resize images. You can make icons. You can make thumbnails. All of my thumbnails on Linux for Seniors is done with this application. All of my previous channel of 450 videos, previous channel was also done with GIMP. Yes, I've made an excess of over 700 videos in the last 5 years. Very nice. Everything is pretty much point and click. If you don't see an arrow, that's the only thing that it comes as a system package for install. So this is Software Manager. It doesn't really tell you how many packages or pieces of software, but it's roughly 60,000. I think that's plenty. Another way to install software, SY. And We're talking Synaptic Package Manager. Okay, so yeah, reopen this. So Synaptic, SYN, how's that? Synaptic Package Manager. I'm going to log in here for a second. And 77,853. I'm sure you can find a thing or two. It usually takes one or more packages to make up a piece of program or an application. You can also do this manually. If it requires other goodies, you mark them and you hit apply. The software is coming from these two places, Mint and Ubuntu. Synaptic does not contain Flatpak software, only Software Manager. So that means you have more than 77,000. I'm going to say Flatpak has roughly 1,000 to 2,000, somewhere in there. Close. And that covers software. Now, Linux kernels. Clicked in here or click this icon. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. It's a shortcut. My philosophy on Linux kernels is everything is working in your computer. Stay with the kernel you're on. If you're using newer hardware and that hardware is misbehaving, and you want a more modern Linux kernel, then we can talk about this. My suggestion is only a suggestion is you do a quick snapshot. Open up TimeShift, sign in, and create a snapshot. TimeShift uses rsync in most cases, and it's making snapshots of your system files. You are requested to activate it during installation. I also use rsync with script files to do general backups. I also use tar, tape archive, but we can talk about that later. View Linux kernels. One more time. You have Update Manager, View Linux kernels. Read this statement right here. Handwrite it down on a piece of paper. Better yet, get out your smartphone and take a picture of this. Whatever this line says is what you're currently running. 515 series kernel is the general one. But that doesn't mean you can't install 6.2 or 6.5. 519 is end of life. We're not going to worry about that. This is the active kernel and you can't remove it while it's running. You can remove it afterwards, but not while it's running. And I don't suggest you manually uninstall any 515 kernels. But you can install and remove 6.2s at your heart's content. So if you have a piece of hardware misbehaving or a newer computer that's not working too well for you, you may want to try the 6.2. This number will change in time. There's the install key for 2, and there's the install key for 6.5. These will change. In a couple of months, this may be 20. You can follow the procedure in here after you request the kernel update. Okay? Bluetooth, if you got them, edit. No, I'm going to skip over that. Right-click on your panel preferences. That number there just represents the height and it's subjective to your screen res. So in other words, it's how you want it to look. Mine is reduced. If you noticed, I have what looks to be like a semi-dock. I'll even make it smaller if you like. I don't recommend turning this off. If you ever drag this down to here, you'll get a half an icon. When you do this, it makes room for whatever toys you already have on your panel. Okay, you noticed it's not moving when I'm in this range because these guys are all taking up that room. So now that I move it to here, I have a little gap. And now I'll go full. And I'll go a little bit further back just to let you see that it's kind of like a semi-dock configuration. Starting at the top, recommend also screenshots. Mode is horizontal is default. Here's vertical. Desk bar. Horizontal. Automatically hide your panel bar. Never. Intelligently and always. Intelligently just means if your web browser is in full screen mode, it will auto hide the panel, and then when you go out of full screen mode, it automatically returns. Always is self-explanatory. Never is default. You're allowed 6 rows, by the way, which probably nobody does. But anyways, that is pretty standard on Xfce desktops. The appearance of the panel is normally not semi-see-through like mine. Usually it does have a solid color. If you want some opacity to it, you can click something like that, right click, customize. You can pick the color. First I'll go solid. Try to go solid. Actually I'll just do a plus and then go black. I'll pick the bottom end so you can see it. Then I'll click that and edit this. Right click, customize, and then you see this checkerboard thing. This is fully transparent. I don't recommend that with light backgrounds because the icons will blend. The white icons will blend. But somewhere in between, right click on this to customize, and you can kind of go in the middle of the road, and this will give you a shade, a little semi-transparent panel. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about the panel. This icon and this icon travel together, and that's this one is 30 seconds, and this one is a 60-second auto shutdown. Show you how to make these. Actually activate them, I should say. Our user for today is Sam. It's a 3-letter word. It's a made-up name. And more importantly, why is that important? Because I'm going to right-click, panel, add, and pick that action buttons and hit add. It puts it in the corner. That's the name of my user. This will be the name of your user also. Well, I'm going to rephrase that. It'll be the name of whatever you called yourself when you installed the system. That's what you'll see when you install that way. This does have little mini icons. I can move that, but I'm going to remove it actually and show you a different way of doing it. Right click, panel, add, and I'm going to turn around and just drag and drop it. So you can see Sam is over here. Again, Sam is the name of our user for today. So if this was Betty, that's what you'll see down here. Right click, properties, session menu. Now you got buttons. I don't want all these buttons. I'm going to drag this out. So I'm going to disable the stuff I don't want and enable the stuff I do. So I just want to shut down and restart, for instance. Now these do travel as a pair, so you can move it anywhere you can drop a red line. They move as a pair. Just to give you an example, it's pretty mobile, fairly mobile. I'll throw them over here. 30 seconds, I don't have to do anything. It'll power down in 30 seconds. I can force it or cancel. These over here are 60 seconds and they're not on by default. Properties, commands, turn them off. This is what you have on default. This is a multifunction. It's waiting for you to click. I'm going to reactivate those. Properties, commands, restart, log out. That's all I need to do. It's that simple, very fast. 60 seconds here. I don't need to click anything, by the way. I can just walk away, and in less than 60 seconds, it'll turn off my computer. Same thing with that. That's 30 seconds. And this is manually clicked. Best of all 3 worlds. Right click, properties, whisker menu, size of icons. This guy's in here. So the first thing that I'm going to do is show you this feature. You just drag this box to your heart's content. It's fairly resizable just by clicking the corner. Okay? Not a readily visible type of setting, right? Now I'm talking about the icons. We can go dinky. And again, subject it to your screen res is how these kind of look. And we have jumbo here, very large. And we'll pick something in between. I'm good to go with that. The appearance of this icon, you can put text if you like. I sometimes do this when I do a video for custom, because I sometimes will plug in stuff in here and then rearrange the furniture in all kinds of different ways. And that's why I put these logos here. So that's icon and title. If you don't want to see that, icon only, you can leave the title. Title only, and both. If you don't like the black and white Linux Mint logo, you can put in your own custom logo, or better yet, if you want a green one, as in Mint, type in the word Mint, and you'll find a whole bunch of green ones, including the Debian logo also. All right, a couple of little tips in there. So I talked about the panel bar, I talked about the menu. Let's talk a little bit about the differences between a Cinnamon desktop and the Xfce. The Xfce desktop, you can drag these icons out and do the same if you bounce them around and get a red line. If you do this on a Cinnamon desktop, it leaves a blue remnants box and you'll have to restart Cinnamon or log in and out to get rid of it. Normally on a Cinnamon desktop, you right-click and add to desktop, which you can do the same here. If you decide to add to panel, it puts it right here in the corner every time. All right, so all I did was drag that down in here and drop it. These are also mobile. Right-click, and you can move them here and the other side. Cinnamon acts a little differently about putting icons in here. It doesn't like icons from here to here. It's okay with this over here though. All right, keep in mind the size of the icons are determined by this setting right here. So if you make that a 22, for instance, that will be very small. Okay, so I will put in 100 and something. What did I have in there? 128? Yeah, that's good enough. Okay. I'll make the panel bar full. Panel, preferences, I'm going to drag this to full. Now it's from side to side. File manager time. Let me get rid of the icon itself, sorry. So I'm going to delete that one. If you are wanting to resize this side of your file manager, this is Thunar. So you hit Edit, Preferences, Side Pane. All right, I'm going to move this out of the way because I'm going to make these jumbo. So this will even go higher. This is ridiculous. Took over just about half the file manager doing that. And yes, these are scrollable, believe it or not. Let's go with something more reasonable. Maybe a 32 or maybe a 48. Let's leave it at 48. And now I'm going to have to resize this back again. All right, we have behavior of double click, a couple of display settings, advanced, and we have shortcuts. Very common one to close a window is Control Q. You can also use Alt and F4. You can also use on a laptop Function Alt and F4 if the F keys are pre-assigned, or whatever your laptop will require if the F key is assigned. All right, resizing the icons here can be done several ways. Click zoom in and out in normal, click plus, control and the plus and minus and 0. I know a lot of my subscribers are tired of hearing this, but I never know when I have a new subscriber or viewer. That's why I rehash this a lot. I'm using a standard keyboard and standard computer mouse with a scroll wheel. I'm going to hold down the control key and scroll back and forth to resize icons on the fly. And if you decide to use your Alt key and scroll with your computer mouse, it resizes the desktop. I'm going to move this around, I'm not making you sick, but you can see the panel bar is swirling also at the same time. If that ever happens to you, hold down the Alt key and scroll backwards and let go of the Alt key. You're back to normal mode. This doesn't matter if I got the file manager open or closed. Alt key, scrolling back and forth. It's a quick zoom feature. That's all that is. All right, you can set these things as wallpaper. Okay. If you are trying to find your other old folder that came with Virginia, right click, desktop, pictures, and backgrounds, and it's blank. Go to other. If it doesn't default to USR share, then go find that in other locations and find the backgrounds folder. USR share backgrounds is where it's located. This is Virginia, that's the latest distribution, and Victoria, Vera, and Vanessa were the previous versions. Open that one up, open this, and I'll find my little puffin guy. There you go for that. And Now I'm going to talk a little bit about making two windows or split panes. Now I can split this file manager by doing an F3, split view. You can also use F3, and you can also resize this size this way. Okay, these are independently resized on both sides. So you just need to click in there once. Okay, so what is this good for? Well, I'm going to grab a hold of my USB drive here. Then we can drag files over and back. Another way of doing this, I'm going to press F3 to get rid of that, is we can also do it this way. This is a little brutal, but I'm going to grab it and bounce it off the wall and do a Control N as in Nancy. And then we can drag files from your Documents folder, which again is independently resized, back and forth. Okay, so I'm going to close that and pull that down. Double click, click and hold, push it up and let go of it and pull it down. There's a couple of different ways to resize this box. Okay, couple of different ways of doing that. If you decide to resize this box this way and resize the icons in your home folder like this, and you want to make two of these, hit Control N as in Nancy. Okay, now I have two boxes, but I'm going to change my mind. Bounce, bounce. Pull down, pull down. I thought I was going to get enough time to explain how to do a tar backup, but I think I'm going to save that for another video and basically say thank you, folks. Have a wonderful day.